Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Nichols from Tomball, Texas, um, from runEVrun, and I'm a hypocrite. Hypocrite. That's right. A lot of times I talk about one thing and how things are important to me, like the environment, not polluting the air and things like that. I talk about it, but then sometimes I do just the opposite. I do things that aren't good for the environment and help contribute to destruction of our world. And I'm going to show you, what I mean. Right now, it's if I look tired, it's because I just woke up a little while ago. I've been sleeping in my truck all night long, my Toyota Tacoma, 2006 Toyota Tacoma, and it uses gas and oil. And here we are in, right now we're in Livingston, Texas. We're on the outskirts of Livingston, Texas, and I'm going to show you a picture here. And I just woke up, spent the night here in the parking lot, sleeping in my truck, had the gas motor running so I could have the AC. It was like 100 degrees out here last night, and I'm not going to sit there and sleep in 100-degree weather and sweat and become soaked in my sweat and just be miserable. I'll show you why. So here we are out in the woods, in a nice beautiful place here. You can see the sun starting to come up through the trees right over there, and it's a nice place. It's beautiful, a lot of trees, out in nature, which I love. And it's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be hot, and here we are at a nice little place called, let me get in here, it's called Noskila Gaming. It's on about 14 miles outside of Livingston, Texas. And it's a good place to come for recreation, and place to, gamble away or invest a few pennies of your fortune if you want. Something different to do. Some people do a little more investing than other people do. And that's what we're out here doing today. We're out here, and my wife's out here investing her money. That's what she likes to call it. I call it gambling, but anyway, everybody has their thing, right? Okay. I don't invest my money in this place. My own money. But anyway, that's part of the story right here. This is where we come once in a while. And I'm the chauffeur, and I come out here. And then I either stay up all night long and sit in the television room where they have sports on TV, and they used to have a buffet and things like that. Now they don't, it's just tables. Or I can come out in my car. If it's the summertime, I can come in my car and go to sleep. So this here's the environment that I'm in right now. This is the place I'm going to talk about here. You see, the thing that really agitates me, bugs me, is that, and that's why I call myself a hypocrite, is because I'm against people and myself sitting out in their vehicles or gas vehicles, running the AC and running the engine while they're just waiting or while they're sleeping, things like that. And I did the same thing last night. I've done it before too, in different places, because here in Texas it gets dadgum hot, and unless you're going to stay up all night, or if I'm going to stay up all night inside where it's AC, I got to come out in my truck and I got to go to sleep, or in the car and go to sleep. And in order to do that, I gotta turn the engine on and run it, and spew out toxins into the air so that I can run the AC. And I'm against that, but it's hot and I don't want to sweat all night long. So I say one thing and I do another thing sometimes, and I feel guilty about it, and I rationalize it away and come up with excuses. And that's what a lot of people do. They may understand the reality of climate change and what's going on in the world, and they may know, intellectually, that the cars they're driving are actually, contributing to the decline of our world, and the slow death of it, and the changing of, landscape and things like that, But intellectually they know these things, but what they do is different, because they don't want to sacrifice their car and gas vehicles. They don't want to sit there and give up their lifestyle, the convenience of having long-range vehicles. Even though they know that technically it's bad for the environment. And people tell me that all the time in so many ways. So, that's one of my things here this Sunday morning, is the hypocrisy. We know one thing, but we do the opposite. One thought that has occurred to me is that, the government subsidizes oil and gas companies. And I'm not the only one who's ever said this, because I hear this all the time on different YouTube channels on the environment and things like that. But, the government subsidizes gas and oil companies. And so a lot of times, you see the price of gasoline and it says one thing, but in actuality it costs a whole lot more. But, the government is subsidizing it. And instead of subsidizing gas and oil, I think that they ought to be subsidizing, renewable energy projects and helping the people out with, electric cars. Because, when a person invests, takes out a loan or whatever, or spends their hard-earned money and they buy a $10,000 car or a $20,000, $30,000 car, it's really, really inconvenient to have to give that up and just say, hey, I'm going to throw this away. That's not realistic. Kind of is what we've come to, though, in our society. We've come to that point where really you almost have to give up what you got, but that's not realistic. So I'm kind of like wandering a little bit there. Instead of, the government should subsidize, electric cars. So if an electric car costs $30,000, let's say, and it's going to help save the world, then why don't they subsidize cars like that? And so instead of us having to spend out of our money $30,000, we could spend maybe $10,000 or $15,000, and the government pay the rest of it. That's what they ought to be doing, because we've got to make a change, and we've got to do it now. And we don't have, 100, 200 years to think about it. I remember way back in the 70s, the 60s and the 70s when I was growing up, people were talking about this stuff back then, but, things don't go fast. And so once an idea is discovered and the truth is coming out, then it takes years for the people and the government and everybody else to get it in gear and start making a change. And that's what's happened. We were talking about climate change, what is this, 2019? So that's like 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we were already talking about it. And here it is 60 years later, and we're just kind of just barely getting into the thing. It's time to make a change, but let's don't sit there and subsidize gas and oil companies. they've made their fortune, but they're on the way out, and they know it, and we need to subsidize what's really important. You know, forget about these big, companies. Some of the companies are actually making a change, and that, I applaud them. That's good on their part. They're still making money, but yet at the same time, they recognize that the change is coming, and they're doing something about it. Slowly, but they're doing something. Some of the companies. But let's subsidize things that are important. Okay. Why is that important? This is why it's important. Because you see all these trees? We're out in the woods. We're out in the outskirts of Livingston. And this whole area is full of trees. And in the name of progress, we cut down these trees to make space for other things like a bigger financial investment institute, otherwise known as Noskila Gaming, soon to become Noskila Casino. But we cut down these trees here in the name of progress to make way for stuff. The thing is, these trees sit there and suck out the CO2 in the air and spew out oxygen. And when you cut down these trees, they can't sit there and suck in that CO2. And this happens not just here, this happens everywhere. This happens all over Texas, all over the United States. This has been going on for years. See, way back in the 60s and 70s when I was a teenager and in my early 20s, I lived up in Washington State, which is a beautiful place, and it's got a lot of mountains and a lot of trees, and it's just really nice, I wish I was back up there, but I'm down here in Texas, so that's another story. But the thing is, I've been, ever since that I can remember, people have been trying to cut down trees so they can get something out of the ground. Cut the trees down so that they can make paper and other products that come from trees. There's a lot of things that come from trees, but anyway, they cut the trees down, they log it, and they want to destroy beautiful environments and things that are important to people. Okay, and people have been saying since the 60s and 70s that cutting down the trees ain't a good thing because of all the previously mentioned reasons that I've talked about, that I've mentioned, like the air thing, having oxygen in our environment so we can breathe and live. But ever since the 60s and 70s, I've been hearing this stuff, and it's been going on forever. And it's a constant fight to protect our national forests and national parks so we can have a nice place to have recreation and live and enjoy life. That's part of life, It's not all concrete, it's not all cities and streets and, like people in New York City or LA or San Francisco deal with every day. It's not like that, there's other parts of the world that are a lot nicer and just more friendly to live in. But people have been cutting down trees and in the name of progress. Well, the thing is, and I saw this in or heard about this in a psychology class, sociology class years ago. You live in a finite space. Our world is a finite space. Okay, it's not going to grow any bigger. The thing that grows and increases are people. People have sex, make babies, just because it feels good for a few seconds or a minute or two or whatever. They have babies, and the babies are increasing, and babies have babies eventually. And of course, then all these, when they become adults, they all want to have cars, and they all want to sit there and drive their cars. And if you ever look at the freeways around Houston and San Francisco and LA, New York, Miami, and all these different big cities, you see what happens when more and more people start driving cars. More congestion. And this can only go on for so long. You know, the world is only so big. It's kind of why a lot of people like Elon Musk and other people want to make us interplanetary species. They want to have a colony on Mars, the moon, and other places and stuff. Eventually make us, you know, interstellar people, civilizations. But, you know, that's another story there. But, you know, the world's only so big, and the more cars there are, less space. And so then the people cut down trees to sit there and make room to build bigger freeways. And this is not good. This cannot go on forever and ever, because just like where I live right now on the edge of Tomball and Spring, you know, when my wife and I first moved in there, it was all trees. Now it's like looking like a city in Los Angeles or someplace. It's starting to just turn into all business and making the streets wider and cutting down more trees. And, you know, this just can't go on forever, because eventually there'll be no more trees. And then what's going to suck out the CO2 out of our environment, out of the air? What's going to create our oxygen? You know. Anyway, that's kind of my point here. We just can't keep on doing this here, and we can't keep on making excuses why we can need a gas and oil car. You know, we don't need to sit there and like I did this last night. I slept in my car with the AC running, and it's like probably 6 hours altogether, and no telling how much crap I put in the air, and I don't feel good about it. Like I said in the beginning of this video, I'm a hypocrite. So we need to make a change. Okay, so we need to, and I don't mean in the future, I mean now, we need to start buying more electric cars and getting rid of our gas and oil cars. I'm working on this idea with my wife, trying to get her enthusiastic about electric vehicles, and I talk to other people and try to get them enthusiastic about electric vehicles, because we need to make a change now. We don't have time to sit there and wait another 50 years and think about it and be in denial, which is what it is for a lot of people, just plain out and out denial. A lot of people just don't want to listen. Certain people that are close to me don't want to listen. It's outside of their reality, and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to admit that we need to make a change, that you know, there's a crisis happening, and you know, they don't want to admit it. They don't want to see it. So they get angry. And it's understandable, but hey, we got to get over that and get on with it. So if you're out there and you're watching this video along with hundreds of other videos about the same topic, you know, do something instead of just thinking about it and watching the videos. Go out and investigate electric vehicles, Nissan, Chevrolet, Tesla, and there's more and more. These are just three different models of electric cars. There's more and more of them coming. They're out there. It's just you have to become aware and go to when you find something you like, you know, go to your car dealership and say, hey, where's this car at? Why don't you have it on the showroom floor? Why don't you have it out in the parking lot? Why aren't you advertising it? So that's what's going on right now. You know, they don't advertise it. You know, you watch the Nissan dealership and their advertisements. They're not talking about the electric cars. They're talking about the gas cars. You know, you watch Chevrolet. They're talking about the gas cars. They're not advertising electric vehicles because they want to drag it out and make as much money as possible. So hey, let's quit being hypocrites and let's start doing something. Unless you don't give a damn about your world, okay? Unless you don't give a damn about your kids' future, let's get out there and start doing something. That's all I got to say about that. Anyway, I always like to show my lean, mean, green, clean fighting machine. 2015 Nissan Leaf. That's it. That's the beast. But anyway, hope y'all got something out of this video. If you did and you like it, go ahead and hit the like button, and you can subscribe if you'd like. I would appreciate it, and makes me feel good if someone's watching my video and getting something out of it. And anyway, do all that, and if you like, take a look at the links below, the description. It's right down there at the bottom of the screen. And anyway, y'all have a nice day, and just remember, run, EV, run.